Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Now,
Jai.
We start the prayers.
Yes, bro.
Om Agyanamidandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunnitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manonishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swarabhupada Dadati Sapadambutam Vandeham Shri Guru Srimata Bhagavatam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sadhana Raghunatham Tam Tam Sativa Sadhutam Savadhutam Vajana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sadhana Vivata Shri Vishakam Sa Namo Shri Padaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Vitaname Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pacharane Devi Shrisha Shundamadi Pasate Desatarane Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prem Pradayate Krishmaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gautasanama Jai Krishna Padmasini Bhimbando Garakpate Gopsa Gopika Danta Radha Danta Namaste Katyanjan Gaurani Sira Devindavani Sari Ismani Sutadevi Pranamahami Dhamma Nila Chandravasaya Nukta Paramatmane Vanvadra Subhadra Bhandavannachaya Janma Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Ram. So we were supposed to do from which chapter and verse?
14.26 or 27, I believe, bro.
Okay. I think 25 was over. We are supposed to have 14.26. So now in 14.26, Lord starts giving a formula to how to transcend the modes. So till now we have discussed about effects of the mode, symptoms of the mode, etc., etc. But now Lord starts talking about how to transcend the modes. So that's in 26th. Mam chayo avicharena bhakti yogena sivate sa gunan samatutyetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Please read the translation.
One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus come to the level of Brahman. Hare Krishna.
So, in this verse, Lord tells how to transcend the modes. So, Mamicha means he who serves only me, no one else. Not that now you are worshipping sometimes Durga, sometimes Kali. Ganesh Chaturthi, become Ganesh Bhakta. Durga, Puja time you become a Durga Bhakta, not like that. Mamcha. So, in my form as Sam Sundar, one who worships me by Bhakti Yoga. So, Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. Only such a person is qualified for reaching to the level of Brahman. So, Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. And there are a lot of verses in Bhagavatam also, which like support it. Again, 11th canto, 14th chapter, text 21. 11, 14, 21. The Lord says, Bhaktayam Aikyagraya. I can be attained only by bhakti. And in Bhagavad Gita itself, Lord says, Ma me prapadante, maya metam tarante. One who surrenders to me alone can cross over this cycle of birth and death. So that's why only by bhakti one can attain the Brahman realization. That means even for Jnanis, Karmis, Yogis, they have to practice bhakti along with their own practices. Okay, so then what is this bhakti? Avyabhicharena means without mixture of karma, jnana, etc. None of them. So even for karma yogis, jnana yogis, etc., as we had discussed before, they have to leave their processes here before entering in Brahman. So if you remember, we discussed one chart. Maybe I can show it again. For jnana yogis. So just a minute, I'll show that chart again. So we are discussing Jnana Yoga also. So first one performs Niskam Karma Yoga to get rid of pure divorce mentality. Then he gives up Niskam Karma Yoga, takes sannyas, and concentrates fully on Jnana Yoga. Along with that, he concentrates on Bhakti so that he can get results of his Jnana. But then when he wants to enter in Brahman, Jnana Yogi, he has to give Jnana also, give up Jnana also. Jnanam chamai sannyasya. So then what remains is Bhakti alone. That means whatever little Bhakti Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi, Ashtanga Yogi have performed, along with that only they can enter in Brahman. That's why this verse says, Mam chaiva abhicharena bhakti yogana sevite sagunan samtititan brahma bhuya kalpate. That means one can enter in Brahman only when one has unadulterated devotion service. Only when one gives up Karma Yogi, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, everything, only then one can enter in Brahman. Because Brahman is also part of Krishna. It is Krishna's effulgence. So one cannot come in contact with Krishna, others Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, unless until one practices bhakti alone. So even Jnana Yogi has to give up their Jnana, means knowledge that I am not this body, I am not this matter, before entering in Brahman. So that's why only unadulterated bhakti is beyond gunas, and it can allow a person to enter in Brahman. In 11:25-26, all the Lord says, Nirguna mad upasraya. One who surrenders to me is beyond three modes of material nature. So that is how Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga are in Niskam Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga are in Sattva-guna. But as soon as one starts practicing sadhana bhakti, even at the beginning stages, such a person, his practice is beyond goodness. So one may be under modes, but the practice is above modes. Like Prabhupada would often say that Golo Kera Premadhan Harinam Sankirtan. This Harinam Sankirtan is product of Goloka Vrindavan. So that is how, when one is chanting Hare Krishna, that practice of chanting Hare Krishna is transcendental. It is not in the modes. We may be affected by modes, but our practice is not under the modes. It's beyond. So that's regarding that. So that is how even a sadhaka is beyond modes. Sridhar Swami has given commentary. He says that Cha means Mam Chayo means only bhakti. Madhusudan Saraswati also, he says that he who serves only me, means Narayan, by undeviating bhakti yoga, he becomes qualified for liberation. So for devotee anyway, he will get liberation automatically as soon as he practices devotion service. But for those who are karmis, jnanis, yogis also, as soon as they give up karma, jnana, yoga, they have bhakti alone, they become qualified to enter in Brahman. So I think it's clear. So after Lord says this particular verse, then Arjuna has a doubt. He says, as far as your devotees are concerned, they are doing personal practice. If they are doing personal practice, then why will they get impersonal Brahman? Impersonal Brahman is achieved by people who want oneness with you. But devotees want to serve you. Why will they get this? So to explain this phenomena, Lord speaks text number 27. Brahmano hi pratishtaham amritasya vayasya cha sasvatasya dharmasya sukham ekantikasya cha. Please read translation.
And I am the basis of impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness.
So was your voice very low for everyone? It was a bit low.
Is that okay now, bro?
Now it's okay. Not so okay, but still okay.
Oh.
Shall I read, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna. So am I audible, Prabhu? Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
It's okay. Haribol. So what we will do is, by electricity and power cut is there. So I don't know how much it's visible. So then Lord says that Brahmano hi pratishta aham. Because so Lord says, I am basis of this famous Brahman also. So even as far as Brahman is concerned, who is the basis? I am on the basis. So that's why when I am saying that devotee is Brahman means he's getting me also. Because when we say getting Krishna means also getting his effulgence. So Pratishtha means taking shelter. So this Brahman, I am the shelter of that Brahman also. That's why when devotees get me, they automatically get Brahman, realization. So that's why Lord is saying that they get Brahman. It's like getting association of Santosh fruit is also getting association of his color. Whatever color he's having, brown color. So similarly, getting association of Krishna is like getting association of his effulgence, that's Brahman. Because Lord is shelter of Brahman also. And what is this Brahman? Lord says, Amritasya. It is Amrit. Amrit means immortal nectar. So then Arjuna has a question. Does it mean that it is nectar which demigods drink? So then Lord says, no, this is not ordinary nectar. Because when demigods drink nectar, Amrit, they get long life, but they die. But this Amrit is Avyasya, something which doesn't deteriorate with time. It is eternal in nature. So it's eternal. And Sasvatasya Dharmasya. Lord says, not only just I am place of Brahman, I am also basis of that Dharma which is eternal in nature. And what is that Dharma which is eternal in nature? What is that Dharma which is eternal?
Serving with pure love,
Huh?
Prabhu. Serving with pure love, Prabhu.
Bhakti. Simple. Because bhakti is something which stays in the spiritual world. There's no karma yoga, jnana yoga, asanga yoga in the spiritual world. So Lord says, I am also the basis of that bhakti, which is eternal dharma, sasvatasya dharmasya. So, and I am also the basis of Sukhasya. Sukhasya means that transcendental happiness which is obtained by love for me. Because the practice of the eternal dharma, one gets Krishna prema. So Lord says, I am basis of that also. And Ekantikas means especially the Ekanti Bhakti of pure devotion service, I am basis of that also. So in this way, everything is dependent on me. So that's why those who get me automatically get Brahman. That's why devotees also get Brahman. Sridhar Goswami says, when Lord is saying that I am basis of Brahman means, it is as good as saying that I am condensed Brahman. Like sun globe is condensed sunlight, similarly Lord is condensed Brahman. This is the that's Sridhar Swami's comment. Madhusan Saraswati, according to him, he says that Arjuna, when he says that how your devotees attain Brahman, how will he just get Brahman only? So then Krishna says, I am alone the end. So when somebody gets me, he automatically gets Brahman. Same thing. So that's the end of this chapter. So we learned in this chapter how now symptoms of the three modes, qualities of the three modes, and then finally how to transcend the modes also. Yes, Veni Madhapuru.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, in previous sloka, you mentioned that when Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi, they has to give up their Karma Yogi and then only they can enter into the Brahman. So here my question is, Prabhu, either Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi, all are required a Bhakti element, then only they can know that value of Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga will be there. Now,
So just a minute. Veni Madhapuru, what I'll do, I'll put my earphone. I think there's some problem with my system.
okay.
Hearing is very low. Now you can speak, bro.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, is audible, Prabhu, now? Or still same?
Yeah, now it's audible. Yes.
Prabhu, for Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga also required a Bhakti element. So that's what we discussed. And now, if they give up that, whatever the Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga, what kind of Bhakti remains with them?
Along with that, like let us say they may be chanting Hare Krishna, they may be doing some deity worship, etc. So then there is some sort of devotion in that. So that can be taken in Brahman while entering in Brahman. For example, when we enter in Brahman, one has to give all conception of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. But one can be chanting Hare Krishna and entering in Brahman also. So certainly their goal is not Krishna. But despite that, they may be having some, you can say, some liking for chanting Hare Krishna. Some liking for Krishna Katha. So with that conception, they can enter in Brahman. That is fully okay.
And Prabhu, one more sloka mentioned that Bahunam Janma Namante Gnanavan Mam Prapatate. So after this Jnana Yogi, so many times, birds, they'll come up, then they'll finally understand. This is regarding the Jnana Yogi or Bhakti Yogi, this sloka?
That is regarding Gyan Misra Bhakta.
Jnana Misra. So, this is the same person who entered into the Brahman? With the,
no, this Gyan Misra Bhakta actually he enters in, not enters in Brahman, he becomes personal associate of the Lord in Santaras.
Okay, neutral.
In neutrality, he becomes Santaras Bhakta, he becomes a tree, a plant or something like that in the Vaikuntha. So it's not Gyani. So the difference between Gyan Misra Bhakta, a Gyani and a Suddha Bhakta. Both Gyan Misra Bhakta and Suddha Bhakta, their goal is Krishna. Krishna or Lord Narayan, basically, Lord Narayan. As far as Gyani is concerned, his goal is Brahman. That's why Gyani takes not just Bahunam, they take long, unlimited number of births to enter in Brahman. So it's like very, very long process. For Gyan Misra Bhakta also takes a lot of time. Bahunam means, let us say 4 lives, 3 lives, 5 lives, like that. For Suddha Bhakta, 1 life is enough. It's very fast.
So this Gnana Mishra will come to the Santarasa.
He'll get Santaras Bhakti.
Only pure Gyanis enter into the, means pure Gyanis with the court of Bhakti, they'll enter into the Brahman.
So it may be like, no, they may be very little Bhakti. But with that Bhakti, they can enter. So it's like, no, we have a, like you have seen, so much, within so much coal, a little diamond is there. So there may be little diamond in such so much of coal, but when you remove coal by, brushing and churning and this and that, so many things, then finally, when everything is removed, little diamond is there. Similarly, there may be little bhakti, which helps them to progress in their Gyan Yoga process. But when they have, if they want to enter in Brahman, they have to give up everything, and with that bhakti, they can enter in Brahman. So then it becomes like a pure bhakti, but it's very little, but you may say it's pure bhakti. Because Karma Yoga, Gyan Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga is gone.
So their Prabhu, their understanding is exclusive understanding is Bhagavan is impersonal.
For them, they know Bhagavan feature, but for them, the Brahman feature is the highest. They say it is ultimate. So this is the highest. Like for us, Bhagavan is the highest. And Brahman is secondary. So for them, Brahman is highest and Bhagavan is secondary. So they don't have the clear conception the way devotees have. They say, yeah, Bhagavan is also there, but ultimately you have to enter in Brahman. It is like that. So they're a bit confused people, not very clear.
Are they offenders, Prabhu? Are the offenders of the Lord?
You see, offenders are those who think that Lord's name, form, qualities, pastimes are made of Maya. They are offenders. But these people, they don't criticize Lord's form as material, but say, okay, this form is there, but ultimately Brahman is the highest realization. So the offenders cannot. Offenders are handed over to Maya Devi. They are born again in metal bodies.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the difference between Brahmavadis and Mayavadis. Yes, Santosh Prabhu.
The thing is the same scripture, even the Brahmavadis read, the devotees read, but why there is a difference in understanding? Because the same thing says, Ishvara Brahma Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. The Vigraha is there, but why can't they accept that as?
See, it's like a motivated reading. So when you are motivated to read something, you interpret everything in that way. What to say of that, you sometimes know. I don't recommend, but you can see, like, Nursing Kavakaravalambat Sotram. It's very clearly personal. But if you see this Mayavadis or Brahmavadis, their interpretations, so they break the grammar and do Sandhi Vichhed in such a way that impersonal meaning comes out. Like even clearly, Sankaracharya has said, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam Mood Mate. So, Samprapte Sannihite Kale Nahini Rakshasi Dukrit Karnam. That your grammar and logic will not help you ultimately. You have to do Bhajan of Govinda. But how they misinterpret is that Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam Mood Mate. That those who are foolish, those who are moodas, for them, they have to do bhajan. Those are not very intelligent. And those who are very intelligent, they should discuss out Vedanta. Okay. So it depends on how you see. Okay. And not only that, other thing is that there is something called Gauna Arth and there is something called Mukhya Arth. Direct meaning and indirect meaning. So why Mahaprabhu criticized Sarvam Bhattacharya? He said that is direct meaning of scriptures are very clear, they're personal. But you people, what you do is you screw out indirect meaning and you neglect the direct meaning. So when direct meaning is senseless, then one has to take indirect meaning. Like for example, there is a word called Gangayam Ghosaha. There is a cowherd village within Ganga. Now, cowherd village cannot exist within Ganga. It means it is near to Ganga, next to Ganga, on the shore of Ganga. So when direct meaning has no understanding, no sense, then we take indirect meaning. But these people, what they do is, they say what makes sense is Brahman is everything. Paramatma and Bhagavan are secondary aspect. So for them, 90% of the scripture are senseless. So then they have like motivated reading. And then what they do is they screw out only indirect meaning to prove that how Brahman is highest. Okay. Hare Krishna. So after that, what happens is, because Lord says that I am source of everything. I am source of Brahman also. So then that leads to many, many questions. That you said that no, devotee surpasses guna, sagunan samtetan brahmi mutaya palpate. So then what is that Brahman which you are talking about? What is this material world? What is the origin of this material world? How can Jiva surpass this material world by devotion to you? So then all these questions come in picture. So anticipating that Arjuna will ask all these questions, Krishna answers them in chapter number 15. So that is chapter number 15 begins.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
So chapter number 15 is also called a Purushottam Yoga, Yoga of Supreme Person. And that's why it's called highest form of yoga, Purushottam. So this chapter talks about detachment from matter, how it is cause of cessation of birth and death. Still one is attached to matter, one has to be born again. One is detached from matter, one can free himself from cycle of birth and death. How soul is part and parcel of Krishna, answer of Lord. And how Krishna is superior both to matter and Jiva. These things are emphasized. Yes, Kalyan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So in general, our understanding.
So just a minute again.
Okay.
Yes. Kalyan Prabhu, you can speak now.
Okay, Prabhu. Prabhu, in general, Brahman, we all know that it's effulgence of body, effulgence of Supreme Lord. So here, in this purport, is mentioned that is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Okay. So can we say that Brahman is nothing but ultimate happiness, though it is a part of Supreme? So can we equate that Brahman nothing but ultimate happiness?
Yeah. Now, just a minute.
Okay.
Okay. So when we are saying ultimate happiness means with respect to material happiness is ultimate happiness. So what frame of work we are comparing with is very important.
Mm-hmm.
So Brahman, happiness of Brahman means both happiness of spiritual world. As we say, Brahman has many meanings. So when Prabhupada is translating ultimate happiness, it is to show that how, as compared to material happiness, spiritual happiness is the ultimate happiness. Okay.
Okay.
So now we'll go to chapter number 15. And this chapter is also called, as I told, is called Purushottam Yoga. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhamula Madasakam Aswattam Prahuravayam Sandamsi Yasya Pranani Yastam Vedasa Vedavid Please read.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upwards and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So now Lord is discussing about this imperishable banyan tree. So what we can do is, maybe we can read till text 4, and then I'll together explain out this banyan tree. So text 2. Adasordvam prasritastas adasordvam prasritastasya sakha gun pravidya visaya pravalaha adascha mulani anusantatani karma anubandhini manusya loke. Please read.
The branches of this tree extended downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. This tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society.
Yeah. So I'll read 2 more verses, and then together I'll take all the 4 verses.
Okay.
Narupam yasya hetatopa nanto nachadir naja sampatishta aswattamenam suviruda moolam asanga sastrena dradena chitva tata padam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gatana nivartanti bhuyah tam eva chadyam purusam prapadde yata pravittihi prasvista purani. Please read.
The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with the determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. Thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial.
Yeah. So, where do we find inverted banyan tree?
We can't find the starting of that.
It's somewhere it is there.
It should be there, but we can't find.
In the reflection of the lake, Prabhu, the lake.
Huh?
Hare Krishna, on the reflection, Prabhu, on the
Yeah.
water.
Reflection of the water, you can see inverted banyan tree. So if you go to a bank of a river where a lot of trees are there, then you can find an inverted banyan tree. That means we find it in reflection. So there is a story regarding a person who saw mangoes in water. So basically he was seeing the reflection. And then he jumped inside to catch the mangoes, but as soon as he would try to catch the mango, they would slip out of the hand. So he became very frustrated after some time that mangoes seem to be very bright, yellow, golden colored. They must be very sweet and very big. But somehow I can't hold them. I can't catch them. So material happiness is like that. Every time we think I'm going to become happy and things slip out of hand. So then he tried and tried and tried, things didn't work. He came out of the river to the bank. And there he saw a big table there filled with books on motivation. Motivating books. Positive thinker books. And the title of the books were 1008 ways of getting mangoes in the water. Jump off in a 45-degree angle, take a somersault, jump inside, then you'll get the mangoes in water. But anything he tried, nothing was working. Finally, he went to a sage who was sitting under the tree. He said, why can't I catch these mangoes? So Say said, don't look down, look up. When he looked up, he could see the mangoes. So similarly, the happiness is there. It's not that it is not there. The very fact that Jiva is seeking for happiness means there is happiness. But problem is he's seeking at a wrong place. So happiness is not in material world, it is there in the spiritual world. And after that, Lord gives the analogy also. So aswatha. Aswatha means aswaha. That means something which will not exist tomorrow. Something which is temporary. That is the meaning of aswatha. That's why this aswatha vriksha is compared to metal world, made up of gunas, made of three modes of material nature. So this best of tree is because it fulfills all one's desire. Desire for dharma, artha, kama and moksha. So this tree allows you to do dharma. By that you can get money. By that one can do sense gratification. And when one is frustrated from sense gratification, one can slowly elevate himself to transcendental level, moksha. So Lord says avyayam. So it is perishable, but for non-devotees, it looks like imperishable. For non-devotee, there's nothing beyond that. So we see a lot of people have this philosophy, quite a strong philosophy. So long back when I would hear movie songs, so there was one philosophical song. So they would say, Swarg bhi yahan, Narg bhi yahan, iske siva jana kahan. Heaven, hell, everything is here, only where to go after that, beyond that. So they think that this is only eternal place. At least old songs had some philosophy. Nowadays, they're foolish fellows. They speak all the stupid things. So that's the philosophy of material world. There's nothing beyond that. That's why Lord says avyayam. This is away in the sense that it is away for non-devotees. But for devotees, they know it is temporary. Then roots of this tree, they are going upwards. So these roots are compared to Satyaloka or Brahmaloka, where four-headed Brahma is there. Because Brahma is the secondary creator. So that's why he is considered the root of the material world. So Brahma, whose body is made of Mahatattva. So Urdha Moolam, like this Prakriti, this creation began from Pradhan. So the first manifest person from Pradhan is Brahma. So it came from Brahma. Then branches are there in the realms of Swa, Bhuva, Ulok. Three planetary systems. Swarglok, Bhuvarlok and Bhulok. In Swarglok, there are which are upper branches. They are compared to Devatas, Gandharvas, Kinnaras, etc. Bhuvarlok, actually Devatas stay in Swarglok. Gandharvas, Rakshasas, Kinnaras, they stay in Bhuvarlok. And also Bhutas, Pretas, they stay in Antriksh, between Bhulok and Bhuvarlok. And in Bhulok, there are human beings, cows, horses, beasts, birds, insects, worms, moths, and trees, plants, etc. They are compared to the lower branches. So that comparison made with the branches. Then Parnani means leaves. Leaves are compared to Vedas, Chandamsi. So like a tree is nourished by the leaves. There is photosynthesis in the leaves. And that is how whole tree gets nourishment from the leaves. And they also make the tree very attractive. If there are no leaves in the tree, then it looks very bad. Tree means good leaves are supposed to be there. Similarly, Vedic hymns, especially related to Karma Kanda, they expand the bondage in the material world. Because one doesn't get money and happiness by one's effort. One gets money and happiness by one's punya, either in this life or in the previous lives. Generally, we are seeing that no, some people are religious, still they seem to be wealthy. The reason is that they have performed the punya in the past life. Actually speaking, this body and the incidences of this life are predestined according to our past life punya. Only by doing karma kanda, etc., one can change it. So that is how that makes the life world very this attractive. And this karma kanda also expands one's stay in this material world. Because happiness in the material world is a source of inspiration for the living entity to stay in the material world. Like if you ask most of the devotees, why did you come to Krishna consciousness? Some sort of frustration was there. It may be small or it may be big. So that's why they take it up. Because if you hope to enjoy this world, one will not leave this world. When somehow some sort of hopelessness comes, that gives a hope in Krishna consciousness. Okay, there's a good place, Already world is very frustrating. So that is how, till one does karma kanda, one gets punya, and when one gets punya, one gets happiness in this world, and one wants to stay in this world. Knower of the tree is the knower of the Vedas. Watering process is Guna Pravadya, means three modes of material nature. Three, like water nourishes the tree. Similarly, three modes of material nature, they nourish the material world. So because of different modes, there are different set of desires. And because of different set of desires, there are different set of species in this world. Each of the species have a specification of fulfilling some sort of desires. Somebody wants to eat a lot, elephant is the best body. Somebody wants to eat flesh, tiger and lion body is very good. Somebody wants to sleep a lot, polar bear body is very good. Somebody wants to have a very affectionate family life, pigeon body is very good. Somebody wants to eat all sort of nonsense without discrimination, hog's body is very good. So each of the bodies, similarly, when one wants to do some sort of dharma, then human body is very good. So that is how each of the bodies is nourished, or it gives a facility to facilitate or fulfill certain set of desires which are affected by different modes. Then twigs on the branches, small twigs, they are sense objects like sound, etc. Sound, touch, form, ras, roop, gandh, sparsh. But then there is a great treasure at the base of the tree. What is the treasure? What do you find at the base of this tree of mental world? That means below the tree. What is there below the tree? Let us see if somebody can imagine, he can give the answer.
Bhakti.
Huh?
Bhakti.
Bhakti. Devotees, bhaktas always talk about bhakti.
So I think Brahmaloka.
Beyond Brahmaloka, what is there? Huh?
Brahman and
Brahman realization. So Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, whole of spiritual realm is beyond the Brahmaloka. So similarly, that treasure is spiritual realm. Spiritual realm is the treasure. And having attained that treasure, one never returns in this world. one stays there in the spiritual world. So that's compared to the treasure. Then in every banyan tree, there is secondary roots. They make the tree so strong that you don't know where it begins. What is the root? So they are continued actions for karma kanda, for happiness. So as secondary roots spread everywhere and support the banyan tree, similarly, karma anubandhini, continued actions with a desire to enjoy this world. They become stimulus for actions, and that forms another human life. Unfulfilled desires to enjoy and act are sources of another bodies. Anybody who is satisfied while at the time of death, no more bodies. Anybody who has spiritual desires, he needs spiritual body, he'll go back to Godhead. That's why one can cultivate a lot of spiritual desires, desire to serve Krishna. But one should not cultivate desire to enjoy this world. But real form of the tree can't be perceived in this world of men. Like, that is similar to saying that spiritual realm can't be perceived by men of this world due to varieties of opinions. Some people say God is like this, somebody say God is like that. Somebody says that I am God. Somebody says you are God. Somebody says we are God. Somebody says Sai Baba is God. So different opinions are there. Because of that, they are not able to perceive the right form of the tree. They don't understand what is material world, what is spiritual world, how to go there. And na antaha. This world continues forever. That means one can at least understand this world will come to an end sometime. Then this world is beginningless. One can understand its beginning. One can understand it has no beginning. Then due to lack of knowledge, one can't understand its support. Where does it, who is the basis of the world? So that's why people have varieties of opinion about what is the basis of this world. So again, when I was very small, maybe class 4, 5, I don't remember what was the movie name, but I remember the motto. I didn't usually see a movie, but posters I would see to see what they are speaking. So one fellow has spoken that इस दुनिया को भगवान नहीं इंसान चलाते हैं और अभी इस दुनिया को मैं चलाऊंगा. अरे you can't regulate your own body when you get loose motions. You have to somehow answer the nature's call. And stupid fellow is saying that now I will run the whole world. So that is how people are, they don't understand the support of this world. Those who are scientists, they say it is nature. That's why the highest published research paper is called nature. They don't understand that whose nature are we talking about. So that is how, due to lack of knowledge, one can't understand its support. But still, what one should do? One should cut down the tree with an axe. One should understand that this world is made for sufferings of the jivas. So one should develop detachment, that axe of detachment, and try get a desire to be free from this world. Because till one has a hope to enjoy this world, one cannot destroy this world. So how can you cut down this tree which is shadow in the water? By which axe? By which method?
By cutting the tree itself. No?
Huh?
Detachment, Prabhu.
By
Through
cutting the
detachment. Through detachment.
No, you are giving an answer. I'm asking, let us say your company gives a problem. There is a tree in the lake. Destroy this tree. How will you destroy this tree?
by destroying the actual tree, bro.
Array, actual tree is spiritual world. You cannot destroy it.
You can vacate the water. Then
So this is the answer. Vacate the water, remove the water. So this water is compared to material desires. As soon as material desires are gone, this entire material world is gone for us. Till one has hope to enjoy this world, this material world is there for that person. That's why whatever situation one may be in, brahmachari, grasta, this, that, but till we have desire to enjoy this world, we are in this world. As soon as that desire to enjoy is gone, world is gone. So after doing that, what one should do? One should look for the treasure beneath the root of the tree. So parimartha gitvam. One should search for that object existing at the root of the tree. What is that thing? That thing is that place, yasmin gataha, after attaining which one doesn't return to this material world. That is spiritual world. So what is the method of searching? Prapadde. One should surrender and worship the original person from whom this world has come, from whom this tree has come, from whom this tree has spread in the whole branches in the whole world. This means one should surrender to the process of bhakti. So by surrendering to the process of bhakti, one can destroy this tree. So that's how Krishna explains. So the whole analogy of banyan tree. Okay, so they like from all verses and purports of Prabhupada and Acharyas. Now Arjuna has a question. While performing bhakti, what is that quality which will help person to achieve that treasure, that goal? How to get a spiritual world? What is the quality which helps a person to go to spiritual world, basically? So that quality is explained in text 5. The text 5 is actually talking about surrendering process. Nirmana moha jita sanga dosa adhyatma nitta vinivritta kamaha dvander vimukta sukha dukkha sange gacchantya mura padam abhyayam tat. Please read.
those who are
Those
free
who are
from
free
false,
from
you can go on, Mataji.
those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom.
Yeah, that means by practice of bhakti, one has developed all these qualities. Okay, Vini wants to put a question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhuji, it mentioned that whatever the qualities are there in spiritual world, same qualities will exist here also. Now,
So just a minute, what I'll do? Again, I'll put earphone. Now you can speak.
Prabhu, either whatever the gunas Krishna have, same gunas will we also have as a jiva, as a partially, and the qualities and everything. Now, Krishna doesn't have a lust, but we are having here at the, like in the material world, everybody feels like effect of the lust. So and in one of lecture I heard that the love has converted into the lust. So Krishna doesn't have, but we are feeling that. Means this the philosophical understanding how we should explain or how we should understand this point.
See, when Krishna, yeah. So we tattva wise we are different. Krishna is Bhagavan and we are his energy. But we are his marginal energy. So that means we don't have all the qualities of Krishna. Like hairs may be part of body, but at the same time, they don't have consciousness. So suddenly we are conscious, Krishna is conscious, but Krishna doesn't fall down, we fall down. So some difference is there. It's not that no, everything is same. That's why we have Achintya Bheda Bhed. So there's Bhed also, not just Abhed. So because of that Bhed, we become victim. And then when we say perverted means ultimately the desire to love and serve is there. But rather than serving and loving Krishna, we try to serve here matter. We try to serve our own mind, we try to serve our own senses, etc. So, but main thing is by the process of bhakti and gradual regulation, one can just like overcome it. So, practice of bhakti and regulation is required. So, okay, fine. Immediately you cannot get rid of sense gratification. Slowly Krishnaize it and slowly give it up. So then gradually we become elevated. Yes, Majanda.
So lord it over also same guna only. Lording over the metal nature.
Yes, yes. See, we lord it over because we want to enjoy. It's like, for example, you are going to take prasad and puri, sabjis, and let us say sambars and idli and chutney. Everything gets feet and they start running away. So imagine like that. No, you're sitting in a tree and then there is a dosa there, chutney there, no idli there, and then sambar is there in the one bowl. All of them they'll get legs and they start running away. Now, if you want to enjoy them, what is the first thing you have to do?
Have to catch them.
Yeah, catch them. So control. So first thing comes is control. And after controlling, catching, what you will do?
No, I'll have it. Try to enjoy.
Yeah, put in the mouth. So first comes control mentality, then comes enjoying mentality. So ultimately, the desire to enjoy. So only thing is that we think we are enjoying, but ultimately we are serving senses only because we are not the senses. So rather than serving Krishna, we serve the senses. That's why it's called perverted reflex. So rather than serving Krishna, we serve Krishna's shadow. That is perversion. It's like rather than serving Vini Madhaprabhu, somebody starts serving Vini Madhaprabhu's shadow. Then now you take Ch14 bhog. No, I have so many things today. Today is Balram Jayanti. Break the fast with all these different items. So then ultimately it's also service, but then service in a wrong direction. So that's why lust is actually misdirected love. It's love only, but misdirected. Okay.
This anger, greed, everything is like a perverted. The original is something else and it's perverted as a greed and anger, lust is a.
See, actually speaking, anger, greed, etc. are not bad. They are bad only when we try to direct them towards sense gratification, not towards Krishna. So anger, greed, etc. when they are using Krishna service, they are not bad. For example, Hanumanji burning Lanka. That's good. That's good anger. Gopis being envious of each other to get Krishna. So Chandravali's gang is there, Radharani's gang is there. But Krishna enjoys envy in the heart of the gopis and their competitive nature to get him. So they keep envy with them. So none of the anarthas are bad. Main thing is bad is that desire to enjoy. So when it is about enjoying one's senses, it is bad. It is about giving service to Krishna, then it's not bad. So other anarthas are anarthas only till they are centered around enjoying. As soon as they become out serving, no, anarthas are not anarthas.
Thank you.
Like Bhakti Sastri would say, that if I can produce pure devotees, I would have hundreds of children. So that means even sex life is not bad, provided it is done for serving Krishna. So whether it is lust, envy, pride, greed, anger, anything, when directed to serve Krishna, it's not bad. So surrendering process given in this particular verse. So till what level one should practice bhakti? Till one becomes free from that delusion of pride. Nirmana moha. Nirman, man is not there. Delusion of pride is not there. Then moha, one doesn't have attachment to this world. Adhyatma nitya, one who makes it a rule that constantly I'll be engaged in adhyatma, in spiritual subject matters, absorbed in reflecting about Paramatma. Vinvritta kamaha, one has renounced all material desires, no material desires are left. Dvander vimukte, one is free from dualities. Dualities of happiness, distress, one doesn't take either of them very seriously. Like Vitrasur was saying to Mother Parvati, Bhava pravaha etasmin kasapa konu anugraha ka sarga naraka kova kim sukham dukkham evava. This world is like river where things keep on coming, things keep on going. Ka sapa konu anugraha. My mother, my dear mother Parvati, you cursed me now. Whether it is a curse or a boon, it is nothing to be taken seriously. Like when we are sitting on the bank of a river, then if some flowers come in the river, somebody has thrown the nirmala, we don't take it very seriously. We know they will go away in due course of time. If some dead animal comes, it stinks like anything. We don't take it seriously. It goes away in due course of time. Similarly, whether it is curse, it will go away in due course of time. I will suffer and then think it will go away. And if it is boon, live very long. Okay, how long? 40 more years, 50 more years, that's all. So everything will end, whether it is boon or a curse. Ka sapa kona, ka swarga narka kova. What is heaven, what is hell? Heaven will come back, hell will come back. Kim sukham dukham ipsa. What is happiness, what is distress, everything will go away in due course of time. So one who's equipoised. Then Gachanti amudaha. One who is free from any sort of bewilderment. One who knows very clearly what am I supposed to do at a particular point of time. So in this way, one attains that indestructible goal. Padam avyayam tats. One gets an indestructible goal of eternal kingdom of the Lord. So that is how when one surrenders to this level with these qualities, then one can enter in the kingdom of God. So then Arjuna says, kingdom of God. How does kingdom of God look like? So how does kingdom of God look like? Lord is explained in text 6. Na tad bhasate suryo na sasanko na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. Read both translation and purport.
The supreme abode of mind. Sorry. The supreme abode of mind is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. Purport. The spiritual world, the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, which is known as Krishna Loka, Goloka Vrindavana, is described here. In the spiritual sky, there is no need of sunshine, moonshine, fire, or electricity, because all the planets are self-luminous. We have only one planet in this universe, the sun, which is self-luminous. But all the planets in the spiritual sky are self-luminous. The shining effulgence of all those planets called Vaikunthas constitutes the shining sky known as the Brahmajyoti. Actually, the effulgence is emanating from the planet of Krishna, Goloka Vrindavana. Part of that shining effulgence is covered by the Mahatattva, the material world. Other than this, the major portion of that shining sky is full of spiritual planets, which are called Vaikunthas, chief of which is Goloka Vrindavana. As long as a living entity is in this dark material world, he is in conditioned life. But as soon as he reaches the spiritual sky, by cutting through the false, perverted tree of this material world, he becomes liberated. Then there is no chance of is coming back here. In his conditioned life, the living entity considers himself to be the lord of this material world. But in his liberated state, he enters into the spiritual kingdom and becomes an associate of the Supreme Lord. There he enjoys eternal bliss, eternal life, and full knowledge. One should be captivated by this information. He should desire to transfer himself to that eternal world and extricate himself from this false reflection of reality. For one who is too much attached to this material world, it is very difficult to cut that attachment. But if he takes to Krishna consciousness, there is a chance of gradually becoming detached. One has to associate himself with devotees. Those who are in Krishna consciousness, one should search out a society dedicated to Krishna consciousness and learn how to discharge devotion service. In this way, he can cut off his attachment to the material world. One cannot become detached from the attraction of material world simply by dressing himself in saffron cloth. He must become attached to the devotion service of the Lord. Therefore, one should take it very seriously that devotion service is described in the 12th chapter is the only way to get out of this false representation of the real tree. In chapter 14, the contamination of all kinds of processes by material nature is described. Only devotion service is described as purely transcendental. The words Paramam Mama are very important here. Actually, every nook and corner is the property of the Supreme Lord. But the spiritual world is Paramam, full of 6 opulences. The Katha Upanishads also confirms that in the spiritual world, there is no need of sunshine, moonshine, or stars. Na tatra suryo bhati, na chandra tarakam. For the whole spiritual sky is illuminated by the internal potential of the Supreme Personality of God. That supreme abode can be achieved only by surrender and by no other means. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Hare. So, when Lord says, Na tad bhasate suruna sanguna pavaka, that place is not illuminated by sun, moon, fire, etc. Somebody will say that means it is a very dark place. There is no sun. At least night time we'll see something. No moonlight. Okay, we'll put on electricity or fire. No electricity, no fire. Seems to be a very dark place. And that too, if you go there, you will not come back. People will become very fearful. So that's why we need Acharya's commentary. So when Lord is saying these things are not there means these things are not needed there. Because everything there is self-revealing, self-dependent, devoid of miseries of heat and cold. So in summertime, sun looks very painful. Sun causes a lot of pain. In winter time, night moon causes a lot of pain. But there's no pain of sun and moon in either winter or summer season there. There is no pain because of fire, etc. So Lord says that that's why that place is self-healing, doesn't require. Then tad dham paramamama. That dham. Now dham is abode. That means that abode of Golok Vrindavan is the highest. If you say take dham as light, dham's another meaning is light. Then in that sense that the Brahma Jyoti is beyond material senses. Paramam, it's beyond. And it illuminates everything. Sunlight, moonlight, everything comes from that Brahma Jyoti. So it can have both the meanings. Like Santosh Prabhu was asking, how do Brahmavadis interpret? They have their own interpretation. So you can take same verse in different ways. So for them now they say take dham as light, that Brahma Jyoti. But at least even from that point of view, it is Krishna's Brahma Jyoti only. So then Arjuna has a question. And Prabhupada says, one should be captivated by this information. It should inspire one to go back and back to Godhead. So then Arjuna has a question. You are talking about spiritual world, material world, that's very clear. But what about Jiva who is crossing material world and going to spiritual world by devotion? So what is the quality of that Jiva? Who is that Jiva? I want to know more about that Jiva. So features of the Jiva are explained in text 7. Mamevamso jivaloke jivabhuta sanatanaha manasastani indriyani prakriti sthani karsati. Please read.
The living entity in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditional life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind.
Yeah. So jiva bhuta sanatanaha. So they are my fragmented, they're part and parcel. But when did jiva come out of Lord? No. They are my eternal part and parcel. That means there was no time when we came out of Krishna. It's beyond time. So jiva is eternal, sanatanaha. And in that conditioned state, what he does? Prakriti sthani karsati. He drags the senses. Drag the senses, mind, etc. Which are situated in Prakriti sthani. Because he proudly thinks these senses are mine. Now, so there are two answers of the Lord, Swamsa and Vibhinnamsa. But here Lord is saying is Mamay Vamso, he's talking about Vibhinnamsa, the separate part and parcel. Swamsa means personal part, personal answer. That is Lord Vishnu only. So Prabhupada gives the example like hand. Hand is part of my body. But if you can't separate hand from me in the sense that my body itself will change. But the hairs of the body, even if they're cut, then it won't give much pain, although they're part of the body. So similarly, jivas are like hairs of the body, and Vishnu forms, Narayana forms. They are called Swa Ansa. They are like personal body parts. They're non-different from the Lord. Okay, so there's a difference between Swans and Vibhinnamsa.
Could you please repeat the example, Prabhu?
Like we have our own body parts, hand, leg, etc. If you cut off the leg from the body itself changes. But if you cut off the hairs from the body, there's no pain for the body. Similarly, jivas are called Vibhinnamsa. They are compared to the hairs of the body. So even if they're separate from Supreme Lord, they don't have direct connection. But Lord Vishnu forms like Narayan, Vara, Kurma, Nrsimha, etc. They are like bodily limbs of Krishna. Body limbs in the sense they may not exhibit 64 qualities, they may exhibit 60 qualities, but then they are as good as Krishna himself. So they are called Swa Ansa, Swansa. Jiva are called Vibhinnamsa. Okay, so when Krishna is saying about a Mamev Amso, that Amsa is Vibhinnamsa, not Swansa. Okay. Because as far as Swamsa are concerned, they don't have Prakriti sthani karsati. They are not struggling with mind and senses. Who is struggling with mind and senses? Jivas. So Jivas struggle with mind and senses. And they carry the, what do we say? Senses with them. Why do they carry senses with them? Like a prisoner, when he's bound by chains, so he's forced to carry the handcuffs and chains along with him. Similarly, Jiva is almost forced to carry senses with him, even when one goes to another body. Because actual senses are in the subtle body. So they are carried to the next body. So when mind and senses are carried to the next body, it's like dragging them. But why does Jiva drag them? Because he wants to enjoy via agency of mind and senses. So because he's attached, he carries them. Because he knows if I want to eat nice, sweets and have delicious items, I need tongue. Jiva talu. I need these things. So then he carries them. If I want to enjoy nice movies, I need good eyes. He carries them. So Jiva is dragging these senses. Why? Because of a desire to enjoy via the agency of the senses. Like somebody goes to a market. He goes to basically a restaurant. And he's carrying nice dosa with him. Let us say devotee. Devotee is carrying dosa for breaking Balram Jayanti fast. He goes to Govinda's, takes the dosa from the temple, and he comes. And some devotee may say, Prabhu, why are you dragging along this dosa with you? It is so heavy. What will you say? Why are you dragging it? Yes, Santosh Prabhu.
Take the fast room.
For the happiness of Balramji. Because I want to enjoy the dosa. So similarly, Jiva carries the senses with him because he wants to enjoy by the agency of their senses. So prakriti sthani karsati. So that's the reason. So he had nothing to do with the senses, but he carries the senses with him. Okay. Now, despite that, he doesn't know one thing. What doesn't he know? Sariram yadavapnoti yachapi utkramit mati swaraha grahit vetani samyati vayur gandham evasayat. Please read.
The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another.
Yeah. So when this Jiva, who is the master of the senses, so he accepts this body, a body, and leaves this body. He takes senses with him along with the subtle body to the next body. The way wind carries the aroma. If wind goes through the flower garland, it carries the pollens and fragrant substances along with it. So similarly, soul, he has nothing to do and take with this subtle body. But he carries this subtle body in the next body with a desire to enjoy. Because he needs these senses to enjoy in the next body. So that is how he carries it. So what we'll do, okay, I'll take one more verse in the line only, just last verse. So what does he do with the senses? That is explained in text 9. Srotram chakchu sparsanam cha rasanam granam evacha adhisthaya manaschayam visayan upasevate. Please read.
The living entity, taking another grass body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and senses of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects.
Yeah. So depending on subtle body, one gets a gross body of ear, nose, tongue, etc. So one gets this particular type of body depending on one's desires. That's why you'll see sometimes body structure also defines a type of desires of a person. That's why it said, no, sometimes face is the index of mind. So Kshatriyas by nature, they have broad shoulders, heavy built body, because they have a desire to enjoy and rule and control. And Brahmanas by nature are like, no, lean, thin fellows. No, looking very tired. The reason is because their bodies are set for self-realization. So that is how one gets a gross body according to one's desires, which are there in the subtle body. So that is how Visayan. Accordingly, what gets a senses by which one can enjoy the object of the senses. So further, why doesn't one realize that he's dragging the body while residing in the body? So that Lord will explain in next verse, which we'll take in next class. So we'll end here.
Where I can engage myself in Krishna.
Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki,
Where I can engage
Srila
myself
Prabhupada ki,
constantly.
Balram Jayanti ki,
Jai.
Bhagavad Premanande.
Prabhuji, next week no class, no?
Next week is